Commander Elena Santos stood at the observation deck of the Earth Embassy on Centauri Prime, watching the golden rings of the gas giant below. The notice of emergency session still glowed on her neural interface, its urgent red pulse matching the uneasy beating of her heart. Something felt wrong about this meeting, but she couldn't place what. The chamber of the Interstellar Alliance was packed with representatives from over 200 civilizations. The Arxur delegates' crystalline bodies refracted light across the hall, while the gaseous myriad floated in their containment spheres near the ceiling. Elena took her seat beside Ambassador Chen, Earth's chief diplomat. "They've blocked all our usual channels," Chen whispered, her weathered face tight with concern. "Whatever this is about, they didn't want us prepared." Before Elena could respond, first speaker Exile materialized at the center podium, his holographic form towering over the assembly. The Quirk's leaders' multiple eyes blinked in their characteristic pattern of disapproval. "We have gathered today to address a grave threat to galactic peace." Exile's voice resonated through the chamber. "Evidence has emerged that humanity has been developing quantum-based weapons of mass destruction, in direct violation of the Alliance Charter." Elena's blood ran cold. The only quantum research Earth conducted was for their revolutionary clean energy project. The Santos Paddle Field Generator, named partly after her own contributions. It was designed to provide unlimited clean energy to colony worlds, nothing more. "This is absurd," she stood, her voice carrying across the chamber. "The quantum field research is an energy project, fully documented and transparent." Silence. Exile's form flickered with anger. "We have proof of your deception." Holographic images filled the air, corrupted data showing the generator's test firing, manipulated to look like a weapon test. Elena recognized her own facility, but the footage had been altered, the peaceful blue glow of the generator replaced with aggressive red pulses. "This is fabricated evidence," Ambassador Chen protested, but murmurs of fear had already spread through the chamber. Elena watched in mounting horror as species after species voiced their support for immediate action. The vote was swift and brutal. Earth was to be quarantined. All humans recalled from Alliance space within 30 standard days. Any human found outside the Sol system after that would be considered an enemy combatant. As they left the chamber, Elena grabbed Chen's arm. "The Quirks," she hissed. "They've been opposing our quantum research from the beginning. This has to be their doing." Chen nodded grimly. "But why? We're on the verge of solving the galaxy's energy crisis, unless..." Her eyes widened. "Unless that's exactly what they fear." Elena's mind raced. The Quirks controlled most of the galaxy's antimatter fuel production. Clean, unlimited quantum energy would make their monopoly worthless. But there was something else, something in the corrupted footage that nagged at her. "I need to get back to the research facility," Elena said. That footage wasn't just altered. There were elements in it that no one outside the project should know about. "We have a leak, and I think I know where to start looking." "Be careful," Chen warned. "If the Quirks are behind this, they won't stop at Exile. They'll want to make sure we can never threaten their power again." As their ship broke orbit, Elena watched Centauri Prime shrink behind them. Humanity had spent centuries dreaming of joining the galactic community. Now they had 30 days to retreat to their home system or face destruction. But Elena Santos had other plans. The Quirks had made one critical mistake. They'd assumed humanity would accept their fate quietly. They didn't understand that backing humans into a corner had historically been a spectacularly bad idea. As their ship jumped to FTL, Elena was already composing messages to her most trusted colleagues. The quantum field generator had been designed to power worlds, but with some modifications. Well, the Quirks had accused them of building a weapon. Perhaps it was time to prove them right. The abandoned mining facility on Mars Valles Marineris wasn't much to look at, but that was precisely the point. 3 months after humanity's exile, it had become the heart of Earth's resistance. Commander Elena Santos strode through the facility's sprawling underground complex, her footsteps echoing off steel walls as she made her way to the central research hub. The massive chamber hummed with activity. Holographic displays filled the air with cascading data streams, while teams of Earth's brightest minds worked at various stations. Dr. Kira Patel, Alina's longtime research partner, looked up from a complex quantum simulation as she entered. "Alina, you need to see this," Kira said, her dark eyes bright with excitement. She gestured to the simulation, where virtual particles danced in impossible patterns. "We've cracked it. The quantum field doesn't just generate energy. It can manipulate space-time itself." Alina studied the data, her military training helping her grasp the tactical implications. "You mean we could create localized space-time distortions?" "Yes." Kira's fingers flew over the controls, showing various applications. Shields that aren't just barriers, but literal bubbles of altered space-time. Propulsion systems that don't just push through space, but reshape it around us. "And weapons?" Alina asked quietly. Kira's expression grew serious. "If we had to, yes. But Alina, this is so much more than that. This technology could revolutionize everything. Travel, colonization, terraforming." The Quarks weren't just protecting their energy monopoly. They must have realized what we were on the verge of discovering. Before Alina could respond, her neural interface pulsed with an urgent message. Her contact in the Arcturus system needed to speak immediately. She quickly established a secure quantum channel, and the translucent form of Zexri, a young Arxer scientist, appeared before them. "Commander Santos," Zexri's crystalline form sparkled with agitation. "The Quarks are moving faster than we anticipated. They're establishing new security checkpoints throughout Alliance space, but my analysis shows they're actually creating a containment grid around Sol. They're not satisfied with Exile," Alina realized. "They're planning to box us in completely." "Worse," Zexri continued. "I've detected unusual energy signatures from these checkpoints. They match theoretical weapons profiles that could trigger solar instability." The implications hit Alina like a physical blow. The Quarks weren't just planning to contain humanity. They were creating a system that could potentially destabilize Sol itself. Insurance against humanity ever threatening their power again. "We're not the only ones they've done this to," Zexri added quietly. "I found evidence of 3 other species who developed promising quantum technologies in the past century. All suffered mysterious accidents that set their development back generations." Alina shared a look with Kira. They had both suspected they weren't the Quarks' first targets, but confirmation made it worse. How long had this been going on? How many civilizations had their progress deliberately sabotaged to maintain the status quo? "We have allies," Alina said firmly. "The Arxer, like you, Zexri. The myriad traders who've been challenging Quark's trade policies. Even some of the elder races are beginning to question things. But they're all watching us," Kira pointed out, "waiting to see if humanity will just accept our fate or prove we're exactly what the galaxy needs right now." Alina finished. She turned to the assembled teams in the research hub. "Listen up, everyone. We're accelerating our timeline. The Quarks think they have us trapped. Fine. Let them think that. But while they're watching our fleets and our borders, we're going to build something they'll never see coming." She brought up the latest design schematics, a massive vessel unlike anything humanity had ever constructed. Quantum field generators formed its core, surrounded by layers of revolutionary technology that combined everything they'd learned about manipulating space-time. "We're calling it the Aurora," Alina announced. "And when it's ready, we're not just going to break out of their containment. We're going to show the galaxy exactly why trying to cage humanity was their biggest mistake." Around the room, scientists and engineers nodded grimly and returned to their work with renewed purpose. In the 3 months since their exile, humanity had accomplished what would normally take years. Desperation, determination, and anger were powerful motivators. As Alina reviewed the latest progress reports, her neural interface pinged with another message. More allies were reaching out, more pieces falling into place. The Quarks had fought to isolate humanity, but they'd actually given Earth's best minds nothing to do but innovate and plan. Soon, very soon, they would learn just how dangerous that could be. Deep within the asteroid belt, hidden in the hollowed-out core of a metallic asteroid, the Aurora took shape. Through the observation window, Alina watched as automated construction drones swarmed around the massive vessel like brilliant fireflies against the void. The ship's quantum-infused hull seemed to drink in the light, its surface rippling with subtle patterns that made the eye want to slide away. "Final systems check is green across the board," Kira announced, her voice tight with exhaustion and excitement. "Neural interface integration is at 100%. The quantum core is stable and responding perfectly to all test scenarios." 6 months of round-the-clock work had produced something unprecedented. The Aurora wasn't just a warship, it was a revolution in spacecraft design. Its quantum field generators didn't just power the ship, they were the ship, creating a perpetual cascade of controlled space-time distortions that could be reconfigured instantly for propulsion, defense, or offense. "What's the status on the crew integration?" Alina asked, turning to where Captain Sarah Chen, their hand-picked commander for the Aurora, stood reviewing neural feedback data. The ambassador's daughter had proven to be as skilled a tactician as her mother was a diplomat. "The neural link is unlike anything we've trained for," Sarah admitted, "but the crew is adapting faster than expected. It's almost like the ship wants to work with us. The quantum field responds to intention almost as much as direct commands." That was both exciting and slightly unnerving. The quantum technology they'd developed had shown several unexpected properties, leading some of the scientists to suggest they'd stumbled onto something far more profound than simple energy manipulation. A flash of light announced the arrival of Zexri's hologram. The Arxer scientist's crystalline form seemed more agitated than usual. "Commander Santos, we have a problem. The Quarks are accelerating their timeline. They're calling for an emergency alliance session to discuss the human containment protocols." Alina's jaw tightened. "They're going to try to get approval for a preemptive strike." "Yes," Zexri confirmed. "But that's not all. I've managed to access some of their secure communications. They're afraid, Alina. Really afraid. Some of their long-range sensors have detected unusual quantum fluctuations from the Sol system. They suspect you're up to something, but they can't prove it." "How long do we have?" "The session is scheduled for 3 standard days from now. If they get approval." Zexri's form flickered. "The containment grid around Sol is already fully operational. They could trigger it immediately." Alina shared a look with Kira and Sarah. The Aurora was ready for short-range tests, but they'd planned another 2 weeks of trials before attempting any major operations. They were about to run out of time. "What about our other allies?" Sarah asked. "The Myriad, the Elder Races. The Myriad trading fleet is positioned to help," Zexri reported. "They've been smuggling quantum shielding technology to sympathetic worlds. The Elders are harder to read, but several have indicated they'll support a challenge to Quark's authority if presented with evidence of their crimes." Alina walked to the main strategic display, studying the positions of Alliance forces. The Quarks had been methodical in their preparations, but their very thoroughness had made them predictable. Every ship, every station, every checkpoint was precisely where their protocols said they should be. "They've built the perfect cage," she murmured, then smiled grimly, "and put all their forces exactly where we need them to be. Captain Chen, begin final crew integration protocols. Dr. Patel, start transferring all project data to the Aurora's quantum memory core. I want everything backed up and secure in case they find this facility." "You're pushing up the timeline," Kira said. It wasn't a question. "We're not going to wait for them to strike first." Alina's voice was steel. The Aurora was built to break their containment grid, yes. But more importantly, it was built to reach their central data archives. The evidence of everything they've done, every species they've suppressed, every technology they've stolen or destroyed. It's all there. We just have to get to it. and broadcast it to every world in the Alliance simultaneously. Sarah added, catching on to the plan. The quantum communication network we've been secretly building will let us show the entire galaxy the truth at once. Elena finished. No more shadows. No more suppression. No more letting them decide who gets to advance and who doesn't. Around them, the facility burst into activity as orders were relayed and final preparations began. The Aurora's quantum core pulsed with increasing power, as if the ship itself sensed the approaching conflict. In 3 days, the Quarks would call for humanity's destruction. In 3 days, they would learn just how badly they'd miscalculated. Humanity hadn't spent their exile cowering in fear. They'd spent it preparing to tear down an empire. And thanks to the very technology the Quarks had feared, they had the perfect weapon to do it. The Aurora hung silently in the void, its quantum-infused hull reflecting no light, creating a ship-shaped hole in space. On the bridge, Captain Sarah Chen sat in the neural interface chair, her consciousness merged with the ship's systems. Through the quantum link, she could feel every member of her crew, their minds working in perfect harmony with the vessel's revolutionary technology. Quark's patrol approaching Checkpoint 7. The sensor operator reported, his thoughts flowing directly into the ship's tactical display. Right on schedule. Elena stood at the command station, watching the pieces fall into place. The Quark's security grid stretched before them like a vast web of light. Each checkpoint a potential trigger for the solar destabilization system. They would have one chance to get this right. All stations report ready, Sarah announced, her voice carrying the harmonic resonance of someone deep in neural interface. Quantum core is at full capacity. Space-time disruption fields are primed. Elena nodded. Begin Operation Daybreak. The Aurora's quantum core pulsed, and reality shifted. There was no other way to describe it. The space around the ship didn't just bend. It folded, creating a pocket of altered physics that rendered them effectively invisible to conventional sensors. They slipped past the first checkpoint without a ripple. Across Alliance space, other pieces of their plan were moving. Myriad trading ships accidentally created sensor interference at key points. Arxer research stations conducted perfectly routine, but highly energetic experiments that just happened to disrupt local monitoring systems. Approaching primary target, Sarah reported. Quark's Central Archive in 3 minutes. The massive space station that housed the Quark's data archives loomed before them, a crystalline structure that spiraled through space like a frozen tornado. It was beautiful, Elena had to admit. It was also the most heavily defended facility in Alliance space. Multiple defense platforms detecting anomalies, Tactical reported. They're starting to realize something's wrong. Now, Kira, Elena commanded. In the engineering section, Dr. Patel initiated the quantum cascade. The Aurora's revolutionary drive didn't just propel them forward. It created a bubble of altered space-time that effectively rewrote the laws of physics around them. Defense platforms fired, but their weapons struck empty space as the Aurora seemed to exist in multiple locations simultaneously. We're in position, Sarah announced, initiating quantum data breach. This was the moment everything hinged on. While the Aurora's apparent quantum uncertainty confused the defense systems, they would use the ship's core to directly interface with the Archive's quantum storage systems, not to copy the data, to entangle with it. Alarms blared as the Quarks realized what was happening, but it was too late. The quantum entanglement spread through their systems like a virus, linking their secure archives to the secret communication network humanity had built during their exile. Full entanglement achieved, Kira reported. Broadcasting now. Across every world in the Alliance, every communication system, every data terminal, every neural interface suddenly began receiving the truth. Not copies or recordings, but the actual quantum-entangled data from the Quarks' own archives. Impossible to deny, impossible to stop. The evidence was overwhelming. Centuries of manipulation. Dozens of species whose development had been artificially stunted. Technologies suppressed, discoveries buried, all to maintain the Quarks' position of power. And finally, the full scope of their plans for humanity, not just exile, but eventual extinction, deemed necessary because humans had come too close to breaking their monopoly on technological progress. Quark's battle fleet approaching, tactical warned. They've mobilized everything in range. Elena smiled grimly. Right on time. Captain Chin, initiate Phase 2. The Aurora's quantum core pulsed again, but this time they weren't trying to hide. The space-time distortion spread outward in a carefully calculated pattern, transforming the ship from a stealth vessel into something else entirely. Something that proved every Quark's fear about human quantum technology had been drastically understated. Broadcasting on all frequencies, communications reported. Everyone will see what happens next. The Quark's fleet opened fire, their weapons more advanced than anything humanity had previously encountered. But the Aurora wasn't just advanced, it was something entirely new. Every shot they fired was caught in localized time distortions, frozen in space, or redirected through micro-wormholes back at their own ships. The containment grid, Elena commanded. Show them why suppressing human innovation was their biggest mistake. The Aurora's quantum field expanded one final time, reaching out to touch the very network the Quarks had built to cage humanity. But instead of triggering solar destruction, they did something else entirely. Something that proved humans hadn't just mastered quantum energy. They'd fundamentally changed their understanding of reality itself. The grid activated, but not as a weapon. Instead, it became a demonstration, a proof of concept for what quantum technology could really achieve when developed openly, without fear or artificial constraints. As the Quarks watched in horror, their ultimate weapon of control became humanity's greatest gift to the galaxy. The halls of the Interstellar Alliance chamber felt different now. The same ornate architecture that had witnessed humanity's exile now watched as the old order crumbled and a new one took shape. Elena Santos stood at the central podium, no longer an accused criminal, but a representative of change that could no longer be contained. The quantum-enhanced holographic displays showed the aftermath of the Aurora's demonstration. The containment grid, designed to be the ultimate expression of Quark's control, now pulsed with clean, sustainable energy, powering worlds that had long struggled under artificial scarcity. It was a fitting symbol of transformation, a weapon of oppression turned into a tool of liberation. The evidence cannot be disputed, Elder Van of the Myriad announced, their gaseous forms swirling with patterns of conviction. The Quarks Council's actions constitute crimes against not just humanity, but against the very principles of progress this alliance was founded upon. Former First Speaker Zixtal and his inner circle sat in dignified custody, their multiple eyes downcast. The data leaked from their archives had revealed not just their crimes against humanity, but centuries of systematic suppression across the galaxy. Dozens of species had come forward, sharing their own stories of mysterious setbacks and inexplicable technological failures. The question before us, Elena addressed the assembly, isn't about punishment, it's about transformation. Humanity didn't develop quantum field technology in isolation. We built upon discoveries from countless civilizations, including innovations the Quarks tried to suppress. Our achievement isn't proving we're superior. It's proving what's possible when knowledge flows freely. The Aurora hung in orbit above, its quantum-infused hull now a beacon rather than a weapon. Teams of scientists from across the Alliance were already aboard, studying the technology that had changed everything. But more importantly, they were collaborating, sharing insights that had been kept separate for too long. The old council is dissolved, announced Administrator Lix of the Arxer, light playing through their crystalline form. We propose a new governing structure, one based on shared innovation rather than controlled progress. The human quantum network has shown us a better way to connect our civilizations. In the months since the Aurora's revelation, change had swept through Alliance space like a wildfire. The quantum communication network humanity had built during their exile became the backbone of a new age of collaboration. Technologies long suppressed were being rediscovered and improved upon. Species that had been kept isolated were forming new bonds. Sarah Chen, standing beside Alina, smiled as she watched former rivals excitedly sharing research data. They really thought they could keep humanity contained, she mused. They never understood that adapting, innovating, connecting, it's not just what we do, it's what we are. It's what we all are, Alina corrected, gesturing to the diverse gathering. The Quarks' greatest mistake wasn't trying to cage humanity. It was thinking progress itself could be controlled. Dr. Kira Patel's hologram materialized beside them, her image transmitted from the Aurora's quantum lab where she was leading a multi-species research team. "You need to see this," she said, eyes bright with excitement. "We've combined the Myriad's phase shift theories with Arxer crystalline computing and our quantum field manipulation. The possibilities are, well, they're beyond anything we imagined." That was happening everywhere now. Freed from artificial constraints, the combined knowledge of hundreds of civilizations was advancing technology at an unprecedented rate. But more importantly, it was healing old wounds and forging new connections. The new Alliance Charter was remarkably simple. Knowledge belongs to everyone, progress serves all, and no discovery is too dangerous to explore, only too dangerous to explore alone. The quantum network that had exposed the truth now bound them together, not in uniformity, but in harmony. "There will be challenges ahead," Elena addressed the assembly one final time. "Questions we haven't even thought to ask yet, but we'll face them together, not as competing species, but as a true alliance of equals." The chamber erupted in agreement, hundreds of species united not by force or fear, but by shared purpose. Above them, the Aurora's quantum core pulsed in rhythm with the new network connecting their civilizations, a testament to what was possible when barriers fell and innovation flowed freely. Humanity had been cast out, branded as too dangerous to join galactic society. Instead, they had become the catalyst for its rebirth, not through conquest or superiority, but by proving that the most powerful force in the universe wasn't quantum energy or space-time manipulation. It was the simple act of sharing knowledge, of connecting minds and ideas across the cosmic divide. As the new council sessions began, Alina smiled. The stars had never looked brighter, or the future more full of possibilities. The revolution wasn't just about humanity finding their place in the galaxy. It was about the galaxy itself awakening to its full potential, one connection at a time.